Hey everyone, welcome back to How We Innovate. My name is Dr. Brent Siebel. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering at the Arizona State University. So happy to be here. We've got this amazing podcast we've been doing, a show on YouTube. I've got my co-host for today's episode, Joy Griffin, is here, ladies and gentlemen. Joy, so glad to have you here.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And we have an amazing guest, Joy, who somebody who's joined us, coming back to the Valley to impact our startup ecosystem, Daniela Santangelo.
Thanks, Brent. Happy to be here.
I apologize. Can you help me pronounce your name?
No worries. Daniela Santangelo.
I really appreciate you being here and putting up with my antics and my mispronunciation of everyone's name. But Joy, we've done this before. We love interacting with our students, helping them discover the excitement around being a founder, being an entrepreneur. So you've done it. You've been a beacon of inspiration for many of our students since joining our ASU community. So thanks for being here. Do you mind introducing yourself to the audience that hasn't yet met you?
Sure. So I'm Joy Griffin, and I am faculty at the Technology Entrepreneurship Management program here at the Ira A. Fulton School of Engineering. And I am so happy to greet you, Daniela. Nice to have you here. In terms of my background, I just bring to it a background in entrepreneurship. I worked in corporate America, and then I also built a company. I grew it to $100 million, and I sold it. And so since then, I have been in academia.
We're so lucky to have her, and really glad you can join us. So, Daniela, we appreciate you coming in to the studio. This is our home turf here at Arizona State. We're actually on our Polytechnic campus in a studio, so really appreciate you coming down to this part of the Valley. But you are now the founder of a new company. I'll let you tell a little bit about your new company launch, but we really want to learn from you. You've been on this tremendous journey really as both a founder and impacting the lives of other founders and people that want to support founders in various ecosystems. So do you want to come right out of the gate and share your big announcement with your current venture?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. Super excited. So we are just weeks away from launching Freeway. This is founderfreeway.com. It is an on-ramp for early stage founders to get plugged into the community and ultimately helping you to get your first angel check. So super excited to announce it. Very, passionate around the founder journey, and just excited to get started.
Well, congratulations on the big launch, and we're glad I think we're the first audience members to hear this big news of your launch. And you've been hosting a lot of community building events just over the last year, maybe a little longer, in the Ascend Phoenix community, which is an equally cool brand and name. So hopefully that carries on or has a legacy component to your journey here in Metro Phoenix. But obviously you've been hard at work on a lot of problems and solutions as a founder. So do you mind sharing with us a little bit of your backstory? How did you get to where you are today? And I'm sure our audience would love to, be inspired as they are inspired by Joy and her story.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Connecticut from an Italian immigrant family. My grandfather came over with not much in his pocket, couldn't even speak the language, but he started a construction company, so entrepreneurship runs in my blood. My mom actually did the books for him. She was 14 years old, so after school, doing the bookkeeping. So I have a strong line of matriarchs up and down the line, which I'm super grateful for. And so corporate relocation was the industry that my mom was in as well. So I kind of naturally fell into that. We had a corporate relocation from Connecticut to Arizona. So we were part of a group move. Me and my sisters moved, middle of high school, middle of college. So had that firsthand experience. And then I ended up moving into corporate. So I was on the corporate relocation side for 9 years. Built a lot of deep industry relationships there. I helped to move government employees, so FBI agents, Secret Service agents, and then on the corporate side, Merck, a lot of big names there. And I saw how fragmented the industry was and what the experience was. Very archaic, very paper-driven, just a poor experience. And moving is on the top 3 of most stressful times in life. It's death, divorce, and moving.
No kidding.
So, so I had a great experience for 9 years. And then I ended up leaving corporate, worked for a small relocation boutique company in DC. Was there for about 9 months, and I met my co-founder and future husband in DC. So lived there for a bit. We ended up moving to downtown Las Vegas during the Tony Hsieh Zappos project era around 2014. It was really great to see that tech city and kind of what was built from really gentrifying that area to be a startup community, from the schools to the community events to the grocery stores. So it was really interesting to see that built from the ground up. And then from there, we moved to the North Bay, Sonoma County. So 6 years, we launched in Sonoma County, worked with a lot of the angel groups there, and went on to raise our seed and Series A. So Shift was all about, I would say disrupting the archaic moving industry. So we created a marketplace. We started off as a SaaS company developing tools for moving companies. So for example, if you've moved professionally, someone's coming out to your home to give you a quote. That costs upwards of about $250 for a moving company. So this is pre-COVID, but who would have thought that you can do this on video? So we developed our MVP, and it was literally screen recording software over FaceTime and Skype.
No kidding.
And I sold
Great
that
hack.
to some of the largest moving companies in the world. And it helped them to consolidate sales offices.
Right.
We closed down 8 offices in the UK with one of the largest movers out there, Pickford's.
Wow.
They saved a tremendous amount on their COGS and, moving into the digital transformation. So I always say, like, MVP-wise, if you launch and you're not embarrassed by your product, you've waited too long. So literally, screen recording software over FaceTime and Skype for $3.35.
Oh
We just
my
picked
gosh.
this number and we got traction. 6 months later, we fully launched internationally. We were funded. The graphs were up and to the right, so adoption was happening with a lot of the largest movers. And from there, we developed a lot more products to get stickier with those customers. We turned it into a marketplace about 2 years after that because the SaaS tools were not defensible. So we started to see some entrants coming into the market, and we developed the marketplace, kind of ramped up the demand, started working with relocation management companies, which were a large distribution channel. And that was, the industry that I was in prior. So overall, in 6 years, we operated in 68 countries. We helped 500,000 customers. We raised a total of $30 million. It brought in about 85% of the revenue. We had 200 employees at our peak. I think we were running a 14 million ARR pre-COVID, and then the world stopped. Stopped moving, right?
Yeah.
Stopped in
Wow.
general, and then definitely stopped moving. So we did another pivot during that time. We started to develop fintech tools for moving companies. So as you can imagine, there's this whole aspect of the cash flow management of, okay, you're booking a move, but then you have to pay your people. It's super messy. So we started learning about factoring and AR financing and all of that stuff, and we were supporting movers so that they can book more moves but have more positive cash flow. So that really helped us to stay alive. And you have to pivot during those times and persevere. That's literally all it's about, is don't quit, don't give up. Kind of relook at your business in a way where you can drive traction and you will survive. So we did, and it helped us to raise the B. We moved to Miami in 2020 as kind of a consequence of California shutting down multiple times and the wildfires. And I had two toddlers at the time, so lifestyle-wise, we wanted to get to more of an open state. So we moved to Miami. It was very exciting to be part of that scene. Web3, crypto, a lot of things were booming. And the community aspect was just so inviting. I felt it was a very easy community to plug into, and just how inclusive and open they were to connecting and following through with introductions and things like that. So learned a ton from Miami. So we all know the challenges of the startup journey, and the statistics are staggering. From 90% of the time, startups are failing. 76% of the time, there's mental health issues on the CEO and founder side. So last May, I became a statistic in both of those regards. So I'm a radically transparent person. I believe we need to humanize the entrepreneurial journey more because blood, sweat, and tears is you're just scratching the surface.
Right.
So when I share, it's intended to bring light into what this journey is like, and hopefully my story can help to navigate the pitfalls that many of us fall into. So I co-founded the company with my husband. He was on the trucking and logistics side. He was the CEO. I was a co-founder doing like more of the BD, strategic partnership side. So last May, early May, we separated in our marriage. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from our board member that they were terminating him
Wow.
and that they were putting me on leave because I was his wife.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
With the company that you co-founded.
Yeah. It felt like someone took my baby from me.
Right.
It was my first baby before I had 2 kids.
Yeah.
I sacrificed so much. So I'm in Miami. My entire family is in Arizona, so I was in Miami by myself. I'm not going to cry. Sitting with that of just like, okay, it's happening. My accounts were shut down. All of my contacts for 15 years, because I was in the industry for 15 years. But it was a blessing, and it was the catalyst for so much. So from there, I, was getting my life together in Miami. I had my 2 kids in full custody, got a relocation approved back to Arizona to have the support of my family. And I'm super focused on helping early stage founders. And I moved back here in January, and I've been doing all of this pro bono. So I'm a bootstrap founder again. I'm super grateful to have the support of my family during this interim time as I'm reinventing myself and building another foundation. But it has allowed me to be in my power and my purpose of why I'm here and how I can help others. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had to leave a toxic workplace and a toxic CEO. And I think we need to have more awareness around that we do have choices. And if you're in a place where your voice is not equitable, that is not a safe place for you to be.
So some people, and thank you for sharing that, because
Wow.
it is something that, entrepreneurship looks so glamorous, and you hear the success story, and, when we look back, it just seems like it all made sense, that you just had it figured out from day one, but it's only when we look back that we can make sense of it, right? And so what you're doing is like opening that up to say, these are some of the things that happened to me, and I really appreciate your doing that, because not a lot of people talk about the success, but they don't talk about the setbacks.
That's right.
They don't talk about, I don't want to call it a failure, but for me, I feel like I failed lots of times also. And it's about having that perseverance to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and keep going.
Yeah.
So did you, I guess I'm going to start with, so many students wouldn't even imagine that you could be fired from a company that you co-founded.
Yeah.
How does that even happen?
Yeah. So the biggest learning for me, I wasn't on the cap table, Joy. I trusted that my co-founder, who happens to be my husband, marital assets, it's fine, we're on the cap table together.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm not on the cap table, so I don't have insight into the investor updates, the company updates, any of that. So that, right, I didn't have any protection around my ownership, so I didn't have a lot of recourse. And I think, many of us go into these journeys with our friends, with our colleagues. Okay, we'll figure out the legal stuff later.
Right.
You can do that for a period of time. It's important to have that paper trail and have things documented correctly.
Wow. Huge lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say we're so fortunate to have you back. I guess it's fortunate for us your family is based here in Arizona, because I can tell we haven't known each other a long time, but we are blessed to have you in the Phoenix
Thank you.
ecosystem. So thank you
you.
for sharing that story. And Joy, we've met a lot of people with drive and tenacity. and that is a common denominator, I think, of
Yes.
founders that have found success in the entrepreneurial world. And I can clearly see you have it, and Freeway coming onto the scene here in Phoenix. I have very little doubt that this is going to impact the lives of a lot of our friends and neighbors here in Phoenix. So
Yeah.
really
Thank you.
excited to see
Appreciate the
what you
support.
do with Freeway.
And so, yay, yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. And so, as you're working with new founders, how important is it, for example, that they get agreements written at the front end of their businesses, to have a mentor or someone, an advocate, who's looking out for them as they structure their business?
Yeah, a lot of advice I give is, if you don't have an advisor or a mentor, I've been utilizing this term like a personal board of directors, I think is really important, of just to have that sounding board to make sure that you are, listen, it doesn't have to be super professional. You're supposed to be gritty and scrappy in the beginning, but there's that element, right, of the legal protection that you need to have. And people in the early stages are willing to do stuff for free, guys. I mean, that's the reality. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. I have people who have leaned in. They're building our website right now pro bono for the community. So don't be afraid to ask for what you need. And yeah, I think these are like some foundational aspects that do need to be professionalized early on. And you could always make amendments later, addendums to stuff later, but just having that that initial structure is important.
I think now is a great time to say that our series, How We Innovate, is actually sponsored by Hool Curry Law, and they are huge advocates for early stage, especially tech founders here in the Valley.
Okay.
So as Freeway grows and makes impact, I hope that there is some collaboration between Hool Curry Law and
That would be
lots of
amazing.
law firms in the state are very supportive. In fact, we have a Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law at Arizona
Okay.
State, and they provide a legal clinic to our early stage founders as well.
Incredible.
So
That's actually a category that I haven't really tapped into here, so good to know, because there'll be opportunities and panels for them to speak about and just create the awareness of the tools and resources available.
That's
so
great.
I'm glad that you mentioned that.
yeah, we'll make that connection
Great.
for sure.
Thank you.
So Joy, yeah, I'd love to hear what else you zeroed in on.
So much to unpack. Yeah, that was so good. So, okay, so can you take me back to when you were in corporate America? You saw this industry, you saw opportunity, you felt like it was archaic, it sounds like. And so when did you make that jump to leave corporate America and go out on your own? What was that like for you?
Yeah, great question. So when I was in Arizona in corporate, I was literally sitting at a desk. I had my files. I'm talking to customers all day, and it just pushing papers. Sign this, sign that. And my mind is very like process oriented. So if I've done something like 3 times, it should be automated. And it was difficult to stay motivated in my role. So I was always looking for like the next position or the next role or the next promotion. And I got rejected 4 or 5 times from a director level job because I didn't have enough life experience. So that's fine. I went from kind of customer service to account management. Then I got into compliance, which kind of gave me a little bit of exposure into developing tech for the industry. So I had this project that was helping kind of the expense management part of the whole relocation process. So had some strides there, but still like it was, from the 1980s technology, but an incremental step forward. I went to a lot of trade shows, and it's like you see the saturation in the market and the moving companies all promoting the same thing. And I just felt this draw that like there has to be something better. And then having the firsthand experience of moving, it just felt like a natural progression. So frankly, I met my co-founder and husband at the time at a moving industry conference, and he represented the trucking and logistics side. So that was kind of the missing piece, right? It had the corporate relocation, the demand channel, and he was more on the supply side.
Right.
So we thought, well, interesting. Not only did we fall in love at the time, but we fell in love with the industry and saying, why not disrupt it? They need technology. So it was kind of a natural fit to take that leap. So I went from a large corporation into a boutique relocation company. I doubled my salary. I moved to Fairfax, Virginia. It wasn't a good cultural fit with the leader there. I think that was like probably my inclining of, I need to be my own boss. Right? We bumped heads on a lot of things, and I always had that passion. Like, I was in a room with no windows, and I just felt so locked in of like how I wanted to make that impact. So I only had that job for about 9 months, and then my ex's startup at the time was moving from Manhattan to Vegas, so that was kind of my ticket to take that risk and launch this business. My parents were freaking out, everyone's freaking out, but I wanted to take the leap of faith, and there was just a lot of validation that like no one really put their flag in the sand of like, you know, bare bones, like basic SaaS tools for moving companies. So we went there.
So I love, great question. I love, kind of getting an insight into those initial pieces falling into place to create a new venture with the demand side and the supply side, as you described with your partner. One of the challenges we face with folks in our audience is combining that industry awareness of a gap or a problem statement with the technical expertise to actually build the solution. In your case, I believe it was software, right? Your first, well, you said it was software. It's kind of a hack together. At what point in that early part of the journey did you realize you needed potentially a technical co-founder to come on board? Yes. Can you walk us through that?
Great question. So domain expertise is massive, right? So wherever you're working in corporate, like consume as much as you possibly can, like get your expertise from these large corporations doing great things, but like, you know, you're gonna feel that little fire and you know it's not your path forever, that's okay. And I think domain expertise goes a really long way when it comes to founder conviction, right? So before product market fit, founder conviction, I am the CEO, I'm the founder to solve this because I have domain expertise for 15 years in this industry, right? So it helps your narrative. I think that, sorry, I went off a little tangent.
No. Realizing that I need additional support to solve the problem in the way that I see it.
So another facet to that is kind of owning the fact that you're a non-technical founder. So we were very lucky in having our early angel investors, what I call smart capital. It's not just the money and you're on your own, I'll see you in 5 years. These were people, individuals who were really invested in our success. They helped us find our first CTO.
Okay.
And he was an amazing guy, came from the FBI, super smart, kind of like your typical, CTO for early stage, grinding, not sleeping, like crazy hours. And he built that proprietary software. In the beginning, we called it our omni-channel solution, where literally, for the first time ever in an industry, can you send a text message to a customer through a platform, give them a link so that they can connect on video and have it be recorded.
Wow.
Cool. And I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so it sounds like your angel investor, that was your first one, that they brought other things than money to the table. Yeah?
Yes.
And so when you looked at that, was that the determining factor for taking the money, the relationships? So I'm thinking about when you know it's right to take money, right? So is it the right plan? Is it the right person? Is it the right fit for your business? Do you need the money, right?
Yes.
So how did you look at that?
Yeah, I mean, we were first-time founders, right? So you never want to come across desperate, but you want to come across in a way where like you're sitting on a rocket ship right now and you need some capital to infuse into the business, because imagine what we've been able to do bootstrap for X period of time. Here's what we'll be able to do with more. So, it's very much like a dating process. I'll never forget like initial conversations with our first investor. We talked to his wife 5 times before we got buy-in, right? I mean, you have to think about where the money is coming from. These are high net worth individuals. That money is sitting in some trust account, probably for their family. Why are you trying to take money from their future grandkids to roll it into your company? What are you proving to them? What's your path to profitability? So it's very much relationship built. I think your company is secondary, honestly. I think it's more of like the founder market fit, and like, is this the person that's going to get this done and go and has the perseverance and the grit to get it done and is going to, make my money last. So like, we were absolutely selective, but I think we were lucky because of where we were located. It's a very, right, Sonoma County, like down to earth people, wine, like you can't go wrong, right?
That would be a good place, actually, to have a startup, I think. Let's do that.
I mean, Arizona is a booming vino culture, so I think you can add a little extra flavor to what we already have brewing down south and up north and in the state of Arizona. So.
Absolutely.
This has been fantastic.
Amazing.
I'm just so thrilled that we have you as part of our ecosystem here surrounding Arizona State University and the state of Arizona with Freeway coming online. So I want to make sure we have time for questions. We have some student founders in the audience. So Joy, I'm just really pleased we had a chance to get Daniela up on stage with
It's
us.
so exciting. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Super grateful to be here.
And to have two amazing female founders representing our incredible talent that we have, not only within STEM at Arizona State, but within all disciplines across the university, to be inspired by both of you and your stories of perseverance and success and future success. So
Great.
thank you both.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So this has been another fun episode, Joy, of How We Innovate at Arizona State University. So thanks again for coming. And this is another awkward ending because we just applauded, but I just wanted to wrap that up. Tune in next time, and we're going to have some more great founders from the ecosystem come in and chat with some of our colleagues in technological entrepreneurship management here at the IRA Fulton Schools of Engineering. So we'll catch you next time. Thanks again, Daniela. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Daniela.
Thanks so much.
Really pleasure to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Awkward applause one more time.